I've worked nights in radiology for 6 years, which means I've spent 6 years getting used to a particular kind of quiet. The quiet of a department built for 40 staff during the day and run by 2 or 3 of us after midnight. The machines stay on, the monitors stay lit, the corridors stay lit too, because turning the lights off in a hospital corridor apparently raises liability concerns. So you work in a building that is fully illuminated and almost entirely empty, and that has its own specific feeling. My job most nights is reading scans that come in from the emergency department, plus a backlog of routine imaging that the daytime radiologists don't get to. I sit at a workstation in the reading room, 4 monitors, the lights dimmed so the screens are easier to read, headphones in sometimes because the hum of the equipment gets into your head after a few hours. It's not an exciting job. I want to be clear about that, because what happened wasn't dramatic. It was just wrong. It started on a Monday. I came in for my shift, logged into the system, and found a file already open on my workstation. Left from whoever had used it before me, I assumed. A patient file with a CT series attached, time-stamped at 3:47 a.m. that morning. I hadn't been on shift at 3:47 a.m. The technician before me had signed off at midnight. The file should not have been open at all. The patient name on the file was Hassan Ali Ibrahim. I didn't recognize it. I clicked through to the demographic details out of habit: date of birth, admission history, and that's when I saw the date of death field. Populated. 2013. 11 years ago. I sat there for a moment, doing the kind of mental arithmetic you do when something doesn't fit. The kind of arithmetic that doesn't resolve, no matter how many times you do it. I opened the CT series. 12 images. A standard abdominal sequence, the kind of scan you'd order for someone with unexplained pain. The images themselves were unremarkable at first glance, until the 4th one. A small area of increased density in the lower left abdomen. Nothing dramatic, the kind of finding you'd flag for a radiologist to review, not an emergency. I made a note, assumed it was an admin error. A file reopened by mistake, a scan misattributed, and moved on with my shift. I checked the equipment logs the next morning before I left, mostly out of curiosity. The CT scanner that had supposedly produced these images had no session logged at 3:47 a.m. Its last session before my shift started was at 11:20 p.m. Its next session was at 6:15 a.m. after I'd gone home. The machine was off, properly off, in standby, for the entire window during which these images had apparently been created. I mentioned it to the day shift supervisor, who looked at the file, looked at the logs, and told me it was probably a sync error with the imaging server. Sometimes old records get pulled forward when the system re-indexes overnight, and the timestamps can be wrong. She said she'd flag it to IT. I believed her. It was a reasonable explanation, and I had no reason not to believe it. Except that the next morning, the file was open again, with a new CT series, timestamped 3:51 a.m., 4 minutes later than the night before. I opened the second series. Same patient, Hassan Ali Ibrahim, deceased 2013. 12 images, same sequence type. And in the fourth image, the same one as before, the area of increased density was still there, but slightly larger and slightly higher, closer to the ribs on the left side. I compared it directly against the first scan. The change was small, but unmistakable. Something was progressing. That night, before my shift, I'd had a dull ache low on my left side, just under the ribs. The kind of thing you get from sitting wrong or from carrying your bag on one shoulder for too long. I hadn't thought about it. I mention it now because of where it was. Lower left abdomen, moving up toward the ribs on the left. The same direction the mark in the scans had moved. I told myself it was coincidence, the kind your brain manufactures when you're tired and looking for patterns at 4 a.m. I went home, slept badly, and came back the next night. The file was open again. Third series, timestamped 3:49 a.m. The mark had moved again. Further up the left side now, near where the ribs curved toward the back. That same day before my shift, I'd twisted reaching for something on a high shelf and felt a sharp pull in exactly that spot. I'd rubbed it without thinking and forgotten about it within minutes. By Thursday, I had started keeping a private note on my phone. Not of the scans, which I photographed each morning before the file disappeared sometime around 7 a.m., but of my own body, where it ached, when, how much. I felt ridiculous doing it. I did it anyway. Thursday's scan showed the mark at the base of the left ribs, almost at the spine. Thursday afternoon, before my shift, I'd had a deep ache, the kind that makes you sit a particular way without realizing you're doing it. On Friday, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I pulled the original file for Hassan Ali Ibrahim, the real one, from 2013, archived in the old system that predates the current software. It took some doing. Those records are kept separately, and you need a reason to access them. I told the archive clerk it was for a teaching file. She didn't ask any further. The 2013 file had its own imaging, scans taken in the weeks before Hassan Ali Ibrahim died. I opened the final series, the last scan taken before his death. The same abdominal sequence, and in the fourth image, in the lower left abdomen, the exact starting position of the mark I'd been watching all week. There it was, the same finding, the same shape, roughly, the same location where his disease had started 11 years ago, in the scans taken before he died. The new scans weren't showing his disease progressing again. They were showing it in reverse. Or rather, they were showing the same path it had taken in him 11 years ago, now tracing itself through someone else, starting from where his had started, moving the way his had moved, at the pace it had moved, but compressed into days instead of months. I went to a doctor the following week, not at my hospital, a private clinic across the city. I paid out of pocket and gave a vague history. I asked for the same scan, an abdominal CT. I told them I'd had some discomfort and wanted it checked. They did it, mostly to humor me, I think, given how unremarkable I described the symptoms. The scan came back clear. Nothing in the lower left abdomen, nothing along the ribs, nothing near the spine. The radiologist there told me, kindly, that everything looked completely normal for someone my age, that the small aches I described were almost certainly muscular, posture, stress, the cumulative effect of long shifts sitting at a workstation. I thanked her. I believed her, in the moment. That night, the file was open again. Fourth series. The mark had moved again, past the ribs now, into the chest, low on the left side near the lung base. And that day, for the first time, I'd felt something I hadn't felt before. Not an ache, a kind of tightness when I breathed in fully. On the left side, low down. I'd noticed it on the metro on my way to the clinic that morning and dismissed it as anxiety about the appointment. I stopped photographing the scans after that. I haven't opened the file since. I log in each night and I can see it's there, sitting in the recent files list with a new timestamp every morning. But I don't click on it. I requested a transfer to the daytime roster, which has been approved, starting next month. I told my supervisor it was for my health. Better sleep, regular hours. That's true as far as it goes. I don't know what happens to the path after the chest. I don't know whether it stops, or where it goes, or what it would mean if it reached wherever Hassan Ali Ibrahim's path eventually reached 11 years ago, before he died. I haven't looked at his 2013 file again to find out. I've thought about it. I keep deciding not to. 3 weeks until the transfer. I count the nights now, which I never used to do. Most nights, I sit at the workstation with the lights dimmed, the monitors glowing, the file sitting unopened in the corner of the screen, and I work through whatever's come in from the emergency department. I try not to notice how my body feels. I notice anyway, Everyone does. You can't not once you've started.